me just see if I think this is the right project. Let me just see if that is the right project. Azure DevOps, looks right. Yeah, so I can go ahead and check once whether this is pointing to the right project. Let me just make a check-in. Original mail auth. Is that the original mail auth? So that is the branch. Let me just point to this branch. And the permission. Let me just go to master. And let me also point to master from here. I'm just changing my branch so that we are at master. So I'm in master now. The master has a view. I will not sync. Let me just sync. Because I have a CS file here and there is a VB file here. You can see that .vb, the Visual Basic. So I did not sync it. Let me just sync this so that I get the CS file which I have in the cloud. In the cloud I have CS files. So let me just sync this and get those files in my local repository. It looks as expected. Let me just make a change and be sure that what I'm seeing is the right branch, because we are building against a branch. Again, there will be issues. This is on controllers. Let me just go to changes. Check it. Come it all and let me just go there and refresh this and see if I get the comment. Yeah, I'm pointing to the right branch. So now let me just go ahead and create a unit test case. So what's a unit test case? You see that create unit test cases. So I can go ahead and create a unit test case from here. New project, yes, framework, MS test V2, that should be fine, and everything asset failure or asset failure, not asset failure. Yeah, let there be asset failure. And say OK. It is creating a unit test case project for me. It will take some time. Just give it a minute. I've created my test case. Index test, everything looks good. Let me just go to test explorer. So let me execute it, then start speaking about it. That's my test explorer, and it went ahead and gathered the information about what are the test cases in my project, and it found one test case, which is a home controller tests and index test. It found it right. Now if I just say run all, it will go ahead and run my test case, and it should give me a success, and you should get all green tick marks there. So you see all the green tick marks there. Everything is green. So it says, yeah, it passed, because I just forced it to pass. I just made it a true, so that it definitely passes, and it passed. So now coming back to what is a test case, and why do we write unit test cases? So whenever you have code in your project, so we have a simple code here, which is a home computer. So pretty straightforward code, wherein it has index, about, and contact actions in the home computer. I don't know whether you are familiar with ASP.NET or not. Are you familiar with ASP.NET coding? How is it? You're familiar with this? Lakshminarayan and Prashant? Prashant is not familiar with it. What about Lakshminarayan? Oh, Lakshminarayan is not familiar with it. Or both are not familiar with it. Okay, both are not familiar with it. Okay. Then, how can I explain these things? So, what is a programming language that you know? Any programming language you know? Java, or what is a programming language you know? Both of you. So that I can explain it in that terms. Okay, we have an idea. Lakshminarayan has an idea. What about Prashant? You know any programming language, or okay, you know about Java? Okay, little bit of .NET. So essentially, um, then we need to just speak about a little bit about this project structure, because this is a very famous architecture, which is MVC. And DevOps developers need to know programming language. It is an expectation from the DevOps developers that they need to know programming languages, because we deal with code. We cannot be just on this coding. That's not what is the expectation from a DevOps engineer. This portal is important, and configuring things and stuff like that is important. Apart from that, we also need to know how to work with code to some extent. So it is a very common expectation, and when you are working with Azure DevOps, you essentially need to understand .NET culture, because you are dealing with .NET Microsoft proprietary cloud platform. This is Microsoft proprietary cloud platform, and whenever you are dealing with Microsoft platform, you should know .NET to some extent, because all the code what you see in the repos, most of the code would be .NET code. So it is essential for you to know what is .NET, and what is this architecture, which is MVC architecture. What is this architecture? Let me just quickly run you through that. Instead of too much of stress, let me just run you through that, because you need to know it, and we have very few sessions left before we close this call, this training. So let me just go there. ASP.NET MVC 5. So what is this? Whenever you're dealing with MVC, there are three players who are important in this MVC: model, view, controller. When you build your application using MVC architecture, Then when a request is coming in from a user is sending a request. When a request is coming in from a user, then it essentially goes to the controller. Controller is the guy who will take the request. That is why his name is controller. Controller takes the input requests which are coming from the user. And once the controller takes the request, he will speak to model. What is model? Model is the thing which you pull from the database. So you will be interacting in your application to the database. And model is the one which will be representing my database's data. So controller will go ahead and speak to the model, that is the database, and get the model. It will speak to the database and get the model. Once it gets the model, it takes the model and pumps it into the view. Once it takes the model and pumps it into the view, that's where you will see the output. So let me demo this for you. It will debug. Just give it a minute. It will launch my browser and it will show me the home screen. When it shows the home screen, then we'll debug and let's show you the flow. Let it just run the website. You can just see that it has landed in my controller. What is my controller? Home controller. It landed in my controller and it is executing a method in the controller. So you can see that it is executing my first method which is in the controller. That is what I said in the diagram. The request comes to the controller. Who got it? The controller got it. Once the controller gets it, he will try building the model. There is no model here. I did not build any model here. So because there is no model, this is gone. I will not speak about this. So then what will he do? He will try to render the view onto the UI. So what will happen? The view. It will go ahead and render the view. If I say F5, that is where I'll get the view in the UI, your user interface. You see the view there. So who got the request? The controller. Controller went ahead and spoke to the view and rendered the view. Usually there would be also another layer which is the model. I need to have a model which will go ahead and fetch the data from the database. So as a DevOps engineer, see, you need to understand one thing. There is a shift in thinking in the current culture. You used to have teams previously. You used to have teams like developer team and there was a QA team. There was a build and deploy team. And there is a support team. I'll not speak about support team. These are the three teams which we have. Once DevOps come into picture, what is DevOps doing? It is changing the direction of thinking within a team. Now the developer can also write test cases. What did I just write? I just hit this guy. Yeah. So there is no solution expert. Okay. Because I'm in the debug. Let me just close that. So if you look at this, let me close this guy as well. If you look at this, in the DevOps, I have to work in as a developer, work in code. And what did I just do? I went ahead and wrote test cases. This is a unit test case which I wrote. How can I say that this is a test case? By looking at the decoration. It says test class, test method. So I am having a unit test case which I have declared. So the test class and test method. Who wrote this? I, as a developer, DevOps developer, wrote this. I did not write it yet. I just created it. I just right-clicked and created this. I did not write it yet. But if you just look at this, I have a test case written, and I have written it. As and when the time goes by, the QA would no longer be required, or minimal QA would be required. It would not be like the entire team would be gone. You would need, if at all you have 6 QA engineers. Now, once DevOps comes into picture, you would just reduce that 6 count to 2. You will definitely need QA, but not to that extent. You would reduce the count to 2. Build and deploy. When will these people work? They will only work during release. Whenever there is a release, these people will come in, take the package of my code, take the code package, deploy it in the server, see if everything is running fine or not. Once everything is running fine, they are good for at least for the next 2 months, unless and until I have a release for the next 2 months. That is, if they have released, if we have released as a team, if we have released code now, today, on 16, we have released it to production, say, as a team. For the next 2 months, I would not have a release. We will not have a release. For the next 2 months, what will happen? Development, QA, and these two teams will work. The development team and the QA team, they will work and go ahead and build something solid. And after 2 months, we will have a release. That is May, June, July. In July's 15th or 16th, we will have a release. Until 2 months, what is this team doing? Build and deploy? Nothing. They have no work. So what is the thing that DevOps does? They will kill this team, and it is not there anymore. In my current team, there is no build and deploy. I, as a DevOps engineer, will define the. I just don't know where to put this. I, as a DevOps engineer, will go ahead and build the pipeline, which is my build and release pipeline. I will build this and I will run this. That is what I did just now. I ran this, right? It went ahead and ran, and it gave me success or failure. So I went ahead and ran, and who built the build and deploy? I, as a DevOps engineer. Once we come into picture, then these teams are no longer there. We will be the only one who will be surviving in teams. DevOps takes your entire concentration from different teams, and it will place the responsibility of different teams to development team. So it will be the development team who will be the core in a DevOps team. So it is essential for you to have .NET programming knowledge or Java programming knowledge. It is fine. Azure DevOps works with Java as well as .NET, but essentially have some fundamental programming knowledge about these technologies, because as DevOps engineers, it is required for you and me to understand C# code or Java code. So just do a little bit of learning around C# or a Java code. That would be essential for you, because a DevOps engineer, he is essentially well versed, and he is replacing these teams which you see here. So when you are replacing teams inside a big project, then the responsibility is more on you as a DevOps engineer. So just remember that part. And that is where my MVC framework is coming from. It has its own advantages, and why I will use MVC. but essentially understand the input will come to the controller, and that's where the controller will go ahead and process the request and show the output to me. That's about your MVC. So I built an MVC project initially. Whenever we were speaking about DevOps, we started building a project and we built a MVC project. Just have Visual Studio installed on your machine and follow the steps what I am doing here. Cloning, building the project, or rendering the output. What is the shortcut of rendering the output? I am doing Control F5. What is the shortcut of debugging? You need to use F5. Very basic fundamentals of working with Visual Studio. Have that minimal knowledge. Without that, it would be very difficult for you. Even if you crack the interview and go inside, it would be difficult for you to survive on the floor. There are two steps. One is we need to crack interview and get inside. The second step is surviving in the floor. So even if you crack interview because of whatever you have learned, you know now the different things, what goes in Agile, what goes in Scrum, what goes in the repos, how it works, and now you are seeing build stage. Next you will see release stage. So all of these are different stages which you will see, and you will get a feel of how you can go ahead and work with these different stages. So in your interview, you can impress people into thinking that you know programming and you know DevOps because of the answers you give. Once you go on the floor, that's where is the next challenge. That is the second challenge which you have. First challenge is cracking the interview and getting the offer letter. Second challenge is surviving on the floor. To survive on the floor, you need programming knowledge. You need to have programming knowledge on C# or Java because DevOps works with both. So essentially, I would recommend that you need to have programming knowledge of Java, of C#, not of Java. Why? Because 90% of the projects which work on Azure DevOps are Microsoft.NET projects. And the most famous framework which is used inside Microsoft to build any new project is your MVC, what we are using here. You need to have all these things in place. So just go ahead and that is your next step. Once you're done with DevOps learning, the next step is get your programming basics right and learn about your learn a little bit about the latest frameworks in ASP.NET. One is MVC. ASP.NET MVC is one of the latest frameworks. So just have a good understanding of this because it's very important. What is the next thing what we are doing? We are going ahead and writing test cases. What is this test case doing? If I go to home controller, there is an index method. Each method in my code, each method in my code is a unit. How many methods I have in my code here? I have 3 methods. 1, 2, and 3. I have 3 methods in my code. So how many units are there in my code? There are 3 units. And when there are units, you need to test units. It is like when you are building when you are working in a manufacturing company, like mobile phone manufacturing company, say for an example. When you are actually going ahead and saying that the mobile which is manufactured is good, what do you do as a tester? You would switch on the mobile, you would play with the basic functionalities of the mobile and check how it is behaving and how is it responding. You have multiple ways of testing things. So you will test it and then you will say tested OK. You will be having a sticker, right? Tested OK, saying that yeah, everything is looking good inside this mobile phone. So that's what you will be having a seal on your mobile phone box that it is looking good. So that is what is the thing what you and me are doing when we are writing unit test cases. What are unit test cases doing? They are going ahead and helping me test my units. I am testing my units before going to production. Without unit test cases, if at all I go to production, there is a risk that I can have bugs. To avoid bugs, I need to understand, I need to test my units. That is where I am going ahead and testing my units. This is what is called as unit testing. So what is my unit? Method. Testing a method is called as unit testing. That is what is the reason why I write unit testing. Once I have written the unit testing, I can run my unit test cases. Where do I run my unit test cases? Here. There is something called as a test explorer. What you see here on the left hand side, that is the test explorer. So what is test explorer doing? It will go ahead and find all the test cases which are present in my project. All the test cases which are present in my project are found by it. No matter where they are. They are in a separate project or in the same project. It doesn't care. It will go ahead and find all the unit test cases which are present in my project. Once it finds it, it will list down my number of test cases. What will I do as a software engineer? I'll just say run. So once I say run, what it will do? It will go ahead and build the entire project and it will start running the unit test cases. Here I had a very simple unit test case which I have written. I am saying I am returning true so that it is all green. Everything is looking green. So to make it green, I just made return true. So that is what I am saying whenever I am writing a unit test case. I will test a unit. Once the unit has passed my test, I will say true. If the unit has failed, I will say false. Let me go ahead and say false. Assert.fail. So now if I just run the unit test cases, run all, it will build. My battery is dying. Just give me a minute while it builds. It will build and it will fail these test cases. Let us just see that. It has failed my test case. Why? Because I told it to fail. Assert.fail. I said to fail. Look at that, how it shows. It even shows what code line it failed and what happened with the error. What happened with the error? You can see that the stack trace. You can just click on the stack trace and go to that particular line. Where did it fail? It is highlighting me the line number 17. That's where it failed. So you can just see that it is a very clear UI. I can clearly see how many test cases passed, and if at all there is a test case which is failing, what is that test case? I can see all that and I can run these things again and again. This is what is unit test cases, unit testing. So what will you do in unit testing? You will go ahead and test your units. What are your units? The methods are your units. That is what you will do inside the unit test case. So let me just pull my chargers. Just a minute. Yeah, so that's your unit test cases. If at all there is something here, let me just see. If at all I need to highlight something. So whenever you're testing your project, there are multiple frameworks which are available out there to test your code. One of the frameworks is MS Unit Test. which is Microsoft unit test cases. That is what is MS unit test cases. The other framework which you have is N-unit testing. So these things are required in your interview questions. In your interviews, they will ask you what are the test case frameworks which you have used. Can you just tell me what are the test case frameworks which you have used? You should say MS unit test and N-unit test cases. What we are seeing now are MS unit test cases. This test case is a Microsoft unit test case. So what is good, what is bad? There is nothing like that. So all of the frameworks which are out there can help you work with any of the testing environment. What is good, what is bad? Let me answer it in a different way. What is good? Using C# and building application is good, or using Java and building application is good, which is good according to you. Nothing of that sort, right? I can build an application. You come up with a requirement. I can build that requirement in Java. I can build that requirement in C#, which is good. There is nothing like good and bad. It is your choice of technology. You went with this particular technology. That is what you will be using and building your application. So there is nothing like .NET is good or Java is good. Both are the solutions to solve the same problem. In the same way, there is nothing like MS unit test cases is good or N unit test cases is good. There are a few differences between these two, but essentially it is nothing like breaking differences. So most of the time in your projects, you will be writing MS unit test cases. Why? Because they are proprietary Microsoft. MS is Microsoft, so they are proprietary Microsoft, and that is what is the advantage of writing because you are using Azure, and Azure is Microsoft's proprietary thing, and you are using Visual Studio, which is again Microsoft. So it is better for you to use Microsoft framework to go ahead and build your unit test cases. So that's your MS unit and N unit. Just remember those names. N-unit test cases, it has support for all the languages. So if at all you are creating a unit test case, this is extensively on unit testing. Let me just see if at all I want to highlight something. Mocking. Whenever you are having you are writing a unit test case, you want to just test a unit test case and not go beyond your unit test case. What do I mean by that? Well, you have a unit test case, like there is a test case method 1, or you say payment method, saying process payment. That's my method. In the first line, I am going ahead and doing something. In the second line, what am I doing? I am going ahead and hitting a payment gateway. Say Paytm or say ICICI Bank. That's the payment gateway which I am hitting in the second line of code. In the third line of code, I'm just doing nothing. Just think there are only 2 lines of code. One is doing something, 1 line of code. Second line of code is hitting a third-party gateway. What is external? What is an external call? This doing something is doing something internally. Is this an external call? This is going outside the method, right? Where is payment gateway? It would be outside the method. You would be hitting a third-party payment gateway to go ahead and process the payment. Is it within the code, or would that be some other component which is outside the code? It would be some other component which would be outside the code. You would be integrating with some third-party vendors, and you would be processing your payment. That is what has to be mocked in a unit test case. When I will write a unit test case for this, what will I do? I'll go ahead and mock anything which is external. Anything which is external has to be mocked. That is what I will do inside this. I will mock that external call. Mock this call. Once I mock this call, then what will happen? I will only test this method. Anything which is hitting out has to be mocked. When you speak about mocking, there are multiple mocking frameworks which are present inside Microsoft. If I just go to manage NuGet packages, you see you say mock. That's MOQ mock. How many downloads? 55 million downloads. It's a very famous mocking framework. You can mock your external calls. That is, in our example, we said what is the external call? The payment. Payment is the external call. You can mock your external calls by using a framework. That is your mocking framework, which is MOQ. Your MOQ is a mocking framework. Is this the only framework which is available? No, there is another framework, which is RhinoMock. There is another framework which is called as RhinoMock, which is not shown here directly. So you see that RhinoMock. So it is another famous framework which I will be using to mock my external calls. I have multiple frameworks to mock my external calls. Two of the famous frameworks are your MOQ. You either call it MOQ or you say mock. MOQ, mock. You can use a MOQ to mock your external calls, or you can use your RhinoMocks. Essentially, unit test cases are a combination of mocking and unit test case frameworks. To just summarize whatever we have spoken until now. Whenever you are using unit test cases, you have multiple frameworks. What are the frameworks which are available? MS Unit Test Case Framework or NUnit framework. There is another framework which is called as XUnit. That is what is the latest framework. Just do a simple read around what are these different frameworks. You see that there? So do a little bit of read around why XUnit, NUnit or MS test. There is a multiple set of comparisons which you will find online. People fighting about which is good, which is bad. There is nothing like good or bad according to me. MS unit test case can work good, and NUnit also can work good. XUnit also can work good. It all depends upon my essential understanding and my essential working with different frameworks. So essentially, there are multiple frameworks available out there. Just read a little bit about it. In a framework, in a unit test case framework, I will be using mocking. So that is what is the mock framework, MOQ, or the RhinoMocks. Why will I mock? Any external call which is being done to outside your method has to be mocked. So that is why I will go ahead and do mocking in my application. That's your mocking. Is there anything else which I want to highlight? there is something called as AAA syntax. What is AAA syntax? What will it help me do? It will help me go ahead and build a unit test case using a certain pattern. It is called as AAA pattern. What is AAA? Arrange, act, and assert. AAA. Arrange, act, and assert. What does arrange, act, and assert say? Arrange will go ahead and arrange the unit test cases in a certain way. Act will go ahead and execute the unit test case. Assert is what you see there on the screen. It will go ahead and assert whether the output is true or false. If it is fail, if it is false, it will fail. If it is true, it will pass. So essentially, you have a very famous pattern, which is called as arrange, act, and assert pattern. This pattern will help you structure your code in a better fashion. So we have multiple ways of structuring our code, and we use patterns in our day-to-day lives as programmers. One of the famous patterns is your AAA pattern. So just have a good read around AAA. In your interviews, they will ask you this. What is the pattern you use to build your unit test cases? Say AAA pattern. Even if you are unable to explain it, at least give one-line answer. Because it's a very famous pattern, and if you at least give one-line answer, then the interviewer would be happy, thinking that you at least know the very fundamentals. Even if you are not able to explain it, just go ahead and read a little bit about it, but just at least have a one-word answer whenever someone asks you about what is the pattern you used to build your unit test cases. That is what is AAA pattern. Then what do we have? What are the other tests which you have inside a project? This is not for DevOps. I'm saying what are the other types of tests which you have inside a project? One is unit test cases. What is the other kind of test? It is integration test case. What is the integration test case? So essentially, you will be having multiple components which you will define in your project. You will be having a product component, you will be having an order component, a payment component. So you will be having multiple components when you are actually going ahead and building a real-time application. When you are done building it, then you need to test whether everyone is speaking to one another in a proper way or not. Like there is a handshake or not. That is what you want to do. Go ahead and test. That is where you would go ahead and do the integration test. Whether all of my components are integrated well or not. That is where you do integration test cases. That's your another way of testing, integration test cases. What is another way which you have? End-to-end test cases. End-to-end is right from UI till the database. Everything has to be tested. So what you will do, you will write end-to-end test cases. Each project has their own set of standards to write whatever other number of test cases we can write. So people usually go for unit test cases. Some projects also go with integration test cases and functional test cases. All of these are very famous different set of test cases which you can have. What are the other test cases which you have? It is automated UI test cases like Selenium. So Selenium comes under automated UI test cases. It will go ahead and test your entire code by running Selenium test cases. So that's another reason why you need to have test cases, so that you will have a healthy project. So Selenium test cases usually tests your entire UI, which whatever are the common test cases which you are thinking of, all of that can be integrated within a integration within a integration test case, or it's an automated UI test case. We are speaking about Selenium, right? So automated UI test case. What is another kind of testing? There is content-based testing and there is functional testing. So you have different kinds of testing which you can do in an application. Whatever you see on screen, those are the different kinds of test cases which I can build on my project. So that's pretty much about your test cases and what are the different kinds of test cases and what we need to do with test cases. So just do some round of learning around what a test case is and how to execute a test case. Is true. I'll go ahead and pause this and let me just run it once more so that I'm sure that everything is fine. It went fine. So the project looks healthy and I have test cases. Are they checked into the cloud? They are not checked into the cloud. Do you find test cases project here? You don't yet find it because I did not check in that to the cloud. So let us check in that to the cloud. I'll go to Team Explorer, go to Home, Changes. I'll say commit all and sync. It's done. Now if I go ahead and look at the cloud, I should have another project here in the master branch. You see another project which is present here. Now MVC Auth tests, that's another project. If I just go to controllers, look at home controller test index, you see index test and it is saying true. Now if I go to build pipeline, and go to the specific build, and say queue. What am I doing here? I have multiple tasks. One of the tasks is test assembly. What happened previously? It was trying to find a test assembly and it failed. Once it did not find a test assembly, it threw me a warning. What is the warning? It said, you do not have any test cases present here. Please go ahead and install or write test cases and then execute those test cases here. That is what is a warning. This is what we want to repeat. We want to remove. So if I just go to builds, the project, and say queue, that is essentially go ahead and queue my build. It will look for an agent. and it will go ahead and start building. It is trying to find the agent. I do not have the, yeah, I have muted it. Just now I unmuted. I do not have the permission to make you the presenter. I think Meghna has it. Is she there? If at all Meghna is there, then she can make you the presenter. I can make you the presenter. Let me just check. Okay, I can make you the presenter. Who wants it? It's Prashant, is it? Oh, is it? It's a wrong click, is it? Okay. Then I'll just ignore it. So, what is the difference between the other pipeline and this pipeline? What did you see here? Test assemblies. Did it succeed? Yeah, it succeeded. What is it saying? Everything is green now. The test assemblies warning is no longer there. What happened? I have checked in my test assemblies. Once I've checked in my test assemblies, my pipeline, the build pipeline, was able to find the test assembly. And it went ahead and built the test assembly and is showing me the output. That is as simple as how you can fix that warning. So in the previous thing, the warning was there. The warning was there. Now the warning is no longer there. That is what is integrating unit test cases into your project is all about. So any questions you have before we move forward? You can just ask or type it, up to you. If you have no questions, that's fine. So if you have any questions, get back to me. So that's your build pipeline. What are the other ways in which I can write a build pipeline? If I just say new build pipeline, you see the YAML there. I'll say YAML. We have built it using classic editor. Let us build it using YAML. I'll say YAML. It is asking me what is the project you want me to build. I will say the current project. This is what I want to build. What is this project type of? I will say ASP.NET. It is building me the YAML. Once the YAML is built, I will say save and run. Now it will go ahead and start building. So everything went fine and it has built me my code. If you just look at what is it that I did, I'll go to builds. This is what is my build. If I edit it, what is it? It's a YAML file. You call it YML. Instead of saying YML, you say YAML, YAML. That's a standard of how you will call that file. It's a YAML file. What is the other build? What is this guy? It is a classic editor version. Both are working fine. Yeah, both gave me the output, right? In the history, I'm seeing it, right? So I can see that both are working fine. This is what is the latest way of doing the thing, which is YAML.